Alright guys, welcome to day 90. Am I gonna do this right? Not even close. 98 of Fusion. What we're gonna do today is we're going to make our block for our engine, but we're gonna make it on the fly. Like I said, this is an engine model to show how a camshaft works with the pistons. So there are gonna be some changes that aren't quite true, but again, it's a model and not the actual thing. So, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually delete this test disk. I don't need it. Everything else with it works perfectly fine. We know all of our joints look good. So instead, I'm going to create our engine block and then joint the camshaft to that engine block. So, how are we gonna do that? Well, I'm gonna hit P for project and, well, actually, P for project. Make sure that projection link is not selected. You might run into a little bit of issues if it is, because since that's a moving part, I don't know if it's going to affect it, but I imagine it would. I'm going to go an extra 1/4 inch off both sides of that. That way you got some rooms for our headers to stick on. And then I'm just going to kind of eyeball some geometry that would look something like the rest of the body of the engine. Let's go ahead and do some parallel constraints. That way everything looks kind of all right. I'm going to do a line right down the center. Right click and make it a construction line. Let's see if I can. Oh, almost able to select all the geometry and mirror around that center line. Is it going to work? No, something's not working. Well, let's try that again. I'm going to select this geometry, around that center axis. There we go. Something was funky going on there, and it didn't like me. All right. Everything looks good for the most part, except when it comes to this part right here. So I know that we're not going to do symmetric, we're going to do two-sided, and instead of cuts, new component, we want to give enough room for our engine block to have the pistons housed in it, but not look cramped. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball this dimension. Now this first piston, that looks like a good healthy distance. This last one, I'm going to go a little bit further, and that looks okay. I don't like it. It looks a little too far, actually. So let's do 6.75. All right. Looking okay. Now, I'm out of curiosity. I wonder if... Let's do Shift J for build as build joint. Let's do the engine block with the camshaft. Revolute around that. Didn't ground my engine block yet, which is okay. Let's do that now. Let's right click. Let's hit ground. And let's go ahead and rename it. We'll call it engine body. Buddy. There we go. Now, out of curiosity, I wonder if I did a boo-boo. Let's go back to our joints, and I'm going to check these out. Animate joint. That looks okay. Animate joint. That looks okay. Something in my gut tells me something's off. That looks okay. You know what? I think our second piston is not joined correctly. Let's take that out. Oh, there it is. It does. It is. We're good. Okay. Something in my radar was going off, but I didn't like it. Okay. So I'm going to move this second piston to -120. Is that going to be it? No, I got the wrong piston. -120. Is that going to work? No. All right. I tried something new. Don't worry about it. Forget it. We're moving on. Okay. So let's create a sketch, this plane right here, and let's hit P for project. We want to project that circle on to our engine block. Now this should be a linear relationship. So let's see if we can do that. Rectangular pattern, this circle going down this distance. I wonder if I could be so lucky to be able to eyeball this alignment right here. Now, does that alignment check out? You know what? It sure does. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go back to face the sketch, hit finish sketch, and we're gonna extrude these three profiles all the way through. And we're gonna make our other parts inactive. That way, this only cuts through the engine block. Looks okay. All right, make sure we didn't cut through any other parts of the body. Now, I did have to do a little bit of a change there. Let's do a draft. Let's do a 5-degree taper angle, because what I found out is that, actually, let's just keep it 0 for now. We are going to have to make some edits because there will be some interference between the camshafts and the engine block, but let's get our holes cut first and then worry about that later. All right. Now, on to the last one. Let's bring piston 6 in. Now, I'm curious, what is the distance between the end of this piston and the end of the block? So what I'm going to do, let's move this piston down. Oh, come on. Let's move it to where it should be sliding through. Let's capture that position. Let's delete that sketch, because that sketch ain't going to help us at all. Let's create a sketch on this plane now. Capture position. I wonder what. Let's do P for project. Click OK. And then what is the distance between the center of that piston to the sidewall? 0.95. So that tells me one piece of information. Tells me I need to leave that circle, create a true circle, so let's make this 1.5 inches, and then make that 0.95 inches from the side. We should be good. Zoom out a little bit. Let's do a rectangular pattern. This geometry, this direction, 4.2. Let's bring pistons 3 and 5, 2 and 4 in. And those look like they line up okay. We're going to click Finish Sketch. And then make our pistons inactive again. Doop, doop, doop. And cut the body of those pistons out. If everything looks good, hit cut. There we go. Let's bring our pistons back in, and let's do a couple of joints, and then we'll call it done for this video. We didn't quite get everything in there, but we got pretty daggone close. So the face of the first piston is going to slide through the face of that. Looks okay. Now remember, this is just a preview, so it should go ahead and attach. Let's try this out again. that's not quite what I want. Let's try this out again. Let's bring our cam back in. Camshaft, looking okay. Let's do a joint between, you know what, let's go ahead and move these into position. And I'm willing to bet something about my working planes wasn't quite what I needed. Capture that position, J for joint. Face of that, through the face of that. That looks okay. Now the question is, why didn't you work earlier? I don't know. I have a feeling that it had to do with working planes. So what I'm going to do then, I'm going to J for joint, and I'm going to go make sure I click on the front face of this with the front face. And I think, see how that's upside down? That tells me when I flip this, it is going to be oriented at 180 from where it should be. And that's how we fix that issue. Phew, man, that was a tricky thing. All right, J for joint. Which one I got? Next one in line. It's gonna be here. I'm gonna flip it. Go 180. Click OK. And we're almost done, folks. Hopefully, we can make some edits to this, maybe post video, so I can be able to 3D print these things, but we will see. Gotta flip it, 180 it, click OK. Two more, J for joint. I lost where I'm at. Okay, J for joint, there we go. That face, with that face. Man, all of them are upside down. They really didn't like to work with me today. Last one, but surely not least. Of course, that one works though. Looks all right. Now, fingers crossed. And we have a working V6 engine. Looks great, guys. We're gonna get done with this video. Wrap up with one more. We're gonna throw our headers on there and maybe have to make some edits to where everything works a little bit expected. Maybe even throw a gear on there. But in any case, stick around and we'll have the last video in this engine series. And maybe even the last one of the 100 Days of Fusion. Take care. See you guys in a bit.